So, last night I was thrilled to discover that, well, you know how much I like theater? I could stay home and see a great adaptation of Ken Kesey's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest right on my television. And it was there. 2 hours, 8 people. Except the strangest thing, it wasn't where you would expect to find it. I would expect to see that on PBS or Bravo or something like that. Maybe on HBO. It was on CNN last night. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. That wasn't the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That was the Republican debate. Welcome back to Rob's Feed today. This is episode number 137, and I'm Rob Schendel. Maybe you're a college student living in a dorm. Maybe you just live in a small studio apartment. What you need to do is get over to dormco.com/Rob. Once you're there, you'll find all kinds of items specifically designed for folks living in small spaces. That's dormco.com/Rob. Well, I really didn't watch it on television, that debate. I watched it online, like I do everything. And I waited and I waited and I listened to these people talk. And finally, somebody was saying something that I agreed with, that I liked. I didn't like hearing it, but he was speaking the truth. Ron Paul finally was addressing why we were attacked on 9/11. And he said it's not because they hate that we have freedom. It's not because of our lifestyle, well, however he phrased it. It was because of what we do to them. They retaliated against our oppressive nature over in the Middle East, occupying their nations, bombing the shit out of them, whatever. And Dr. Paul was right. And you know what the audience did? This audience, it was made up of the people from Walmart videos, if you ask me anyway. They booed him. Unbelievable. The one thing, these cuckoos, these nuts, not both on stage and off of it. The only sane person on camera at all last night was Wolf Blitzer. As you know, I have now started the blog roboutloud.com, and I invite you all to view it, to subscribe to that as well. It's the home of Rob's Feed today because everything that I think about talking in front of this camera to you about, I post there. So everything that I've talked about, if you've read Rob Out Loud, you would have already seen. So this is just merely a recap or rerun of what's posted on the blog. So, but I had some difficulties tinkering with it, making it the way I really want it to be. One of the things was an issue with video. And the whole intent of this vlog was to post the Rob's Feed Today episodes on it. And if I can't post videos, I'm shit out of luck. Well, solved that one today. So it's the little things like that make me happy. But while speaking of cuckoo's nests, what's more atrocious than the Westboro Baptist Church? Late last year, a young man by the name of Jason Connell came up with a unique idea when the Westboro Baptist Church appeared on his campus and, well, how to fight them. Please watch this.
Well, my name's Jason, and like everybody else, I had a lot of mixed feelings about the WBC's presence at my school and in my city, and I was kind of torn between two methods of action. I really don't agree with just standing across the street and yelling, because that doesn't have the power to change or accomplish anything. But, a lot of people have said don't pay any attention to them, ignore them, but, nothing ever changes that way either. So I decided, instead of, greeting a hateful message with an anti-hateful message, to try and just change their presence a little bit, to kind of form it to be more positive. So what I'm doing is collecting money that will donate directly to charities that the WBC explicitly targets. So the Human Rights Campaign, the International AIDS Foundation, and a Chicago-based organization, I think, Jerusalem Open House, which has to deal with the Jewish community and a lot of LGBTQ issues in Israel. All of the donations we collect today are going to be made in honor of the WBC, and for everyone who donates, I have some community thank you cards that will be mailed to Fred Phelps and the Westboro Church, thanking them because their presence here is what allowed all of this to happen. So it'd be really nice, I mean, if you guys are in other cities, to try and follow this example because, I mean, they're getting negative publicity whether we like it or not, so let's try and make it positive and do the best we can. So one of those lifelong...
Do you recall a few months back, it was comedian Lisa Lampanelli who gave away $30-some thousand. She pledged that for every Westboro Baptist Church protester that would appear on the sidewalks in front of a recent concert of hers, that she would donate $1,000. And if I'm not mistaken, it was like $35,000. Maybe she got the idea from Jason. But on with the Westboro Baptist Church. Well, wackos. Actually, let's talk about somebody else. You know the Sexy Liberal Tour? That's a comedy tour that's touring the country. It stars Stephanie Miller of the Stephanie Miller Program, one of my favorite progressive talk radio hosts. Joining her is Hal Sparks and John Fugelsang, both contributors to the Stephanie Miller Show. Well, John has a Bible lesson for the Westboro Baptist Church. I thought was just wonderful.
In the wake of the horrific Tucson shootings, the state of Arizona has passed an emergency measure instituting funeral protection zones that'll keep any protesters at least 300 feet away from funeral services. And of course, this was a response to the Westboro Baptist Church and the Reverend Fred Phelps, who are to Christianity what Jesus was to ignorance, hate, and inbreeding. You see, Westboro Baptist Church really hates gay people. A lot. They don't want to hate gay people, but God commands them to, so they're just following orders. It's kind of like Nuremberg, but with very bad teeth. And because America is a free society that doesn't stone gays to death in the streets, Phelps and his charming rapture junkie friends choose to show their devotion to the love of Christ by picketing the funerals of murdered gay people and the fallen soldiers that defend a godless society that allows them to exist. Now, I feel bad for Westboro, and not just because their only successful protest ever continues to be their boycott of every single thing Christ ever taught, but homophobia is a dreadful burden to carry, and it's every bit as natural as being gay. But Reverend Phelps, let's assume you're right, that as you say, God hates fags. Well, where in the Bible does this come from? Because Jesus said nothing about being gay. St. Paul and Deuteronomy are really only talking about gay prostitution, and Sodom and Gomorrah is actually a story about public gang rape of angels in the streets. It is. Go read it. Fun stuff. So all you've really got to hang your hate on is Leviticus, which says, "Ye shall not lie with a man as with a woman, that is an abomination." Shall not lie with, it says. Nothing about standing up or one guy on his knees or one guy leaning against the men's room stall while a Republican senator plays lookout. But you're fine, Rev. Let's assume Leviticus is the direct, undiluted word of God. And if you believe that, then you've got to follow everything Leviticus preaches, including you've got to stone gay people to death, okay? No more of this limp-wristed picketing at funerals. However, also according to Leviticus, you have to stone to death people who work on the Sabbath. And that's Saturday, so bye-bye NASCAR. You also have to stone to death children who are gluttons or drunks, so long Bush twins, anyone who cuts their hair at the temples or tattoos the flesh, and I'm really going to miss the Marine Corps and half the bands I like. Adultery gets the death penalty in Leviticus, and that also includes, technically, divorce and remarriage. So what this means, my funeral picketing friends, if you really believe the part of the Bible that says being gay is a sin, then you owe it to God to kill Rush Limbaugh 3 times. And while we're at it, Leviticus also says eating shellfish is an abomination. So Reverend, that shrimp cocktail you're shoving down your gullet is every bit as bad as George Michael night at the Ramrod bathhouse. You see, hating gay is natural, but so is being gay. And unlike being gay, hating gay is curable because homophobia, Reverend, is an insult to God. Oh, and by the way, Leviticus does forbid men with men, but the entire Bible says nothing prohibiting women with women. And I find it just a bit amusing that God and Vivid Video have the same exact policy. I'm John Fugelsang for Grit TV.
Thanks to Grit TV for that great little piece. Again, I want to remind you that if you please go into iTunes or YouTube, actually, either one, wherever you find this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and comment about it. I really need that. And also, if you go to roboutloud.com, somewhere in the right column near the top, you can subscribe to that as well. There's a couple methods to do it. Probably the most favorite one or the easiest one, just enter your email address and confirm that you want to receive the update, the daily update. On that note, thank you. I think that's all I'm going to say.